What is an illusion? Something that's wrongly interpreted by the senses? A distortion of the senses? Can beliefs be illusions? Can ideas? How much of the magic in George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series is based on illusions? And what part have illusions played in the roles of mystics and charlatans in their world? The world of A Song of Ice and Fire is full of illusions. When hearing the word, most people tend to think of visual illusions, but illusions can actually happen with any of the senses. And anyone, no matter how perceptive, can have trouble seeing through some illusions. To quote Ralph Waldo Emerson, "There are as many pillows of illusion as flakes in a snowstorm. We wake from one dream into another dream." To answer the question I posed earlier, yes, beliefs can be illusions. There is a specific term for beliefs that are illusions: delusions. Throughout the A Song of Ice and Fire books, the highborn of Westeros wage continuous wars against one another. They all participate hoping that they can gain power and increase their own statuses. They operate under the assumption that the system that they know, no matter how chaotic and bloody, will remain mostly the same, changing faces of power, but pretty much the same rules. Their sense that this chaotic will can continue to sustain itself indefinitely is an illusion, and this becomes even more evident when we consider the threat of the others. This is an illusion that has been shattered before, but men are quick to forget. When Aegon I unleashed the fury of the Targaryen dragons onto the divided kingdoms of Westeros, their illusion of stability was destroyed. But once the dust settled, and Aegon was firmly set as the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms save Dorne, which did not bend the knee until much later, the illusion was reborn. In the book A Clash of Kings, Varys the Spider poses a riddle to Tyrion Lannister. The hypothetical scenario involves a rich man, a king, a priest, and a sellsword. The sellsword is of average intelligence and common birth. Each of the three other men bid the sellsword kill the other two. The question is, which man does the sellsword obey? Who really has the power in this situation? The king has the right of law, the rich man can offer gold, and the priest speaks with the voice of God. Tyrion ponders over the riddle for a while, but it is not until sometime after this that Varys provides Tyrion with an answer to the riddle.
"Power is a curious thing, my lord. Perchance you have considered the riddle I posed to you that day in the inn?" "It has crossed my mind a time or two," Tyrion admitted. "The king, the priest, the rich man, who lives and who dies? Who will the swordsman obey? It's a riddle without an answer, or rather too many answers. All depends on the man with the sword." "And yet he is no one," Varys said. "He has neither crown nor gold nor favor of the gods, only a piece of pointed steel. That piece of steel is the power of life and death." "Just so. Yet, if it is the swordsmen who rule us in truth, why do we pretend our kings hold the power? Why should a strong man with a sword ever obey a child king like Joffrey, or a wine-sodden oaf like his father? Because these child kings and drunken oafs can call other strong men with other swords. Then these other swordsmen have the true power. Or do they? Whence came their swords? Why do they obey?" Varys smiled. "Some say knowledge is power. Some tell us that all power comes from the gods. Others say it derives from law. Yet that day on the steps of Baelor Sept, our godly High Septon, and the lawful Queen Regent, and your ever so knowledgeable servant were as powerless as any cobbler or cooper in the crowd. Who truly killed Eddard Stark, do you think? Joffrey, who gave the command? Sir Ilyn Payne, who swung the sword? Or another?" Tyrion cocked his head sideways. "Did you mean to answer your damned riddle, or to only make my headache worse?" Varys smiled. "Here, then. Power resides where men believe it resides. No more and no less." "So power is a mummer's trick?" "A shadow on the wall," Varys murmured. yet shadows can kill, and ofttimes a very small man can cast a very large shadow.
Varys suggests that power itself is an illusion. It is only belief that matters. If the king holds the power, then why does he need a sellsword? And if it is the sellsword who holds the power, then why would he ever take orders from his lord or his king? Why not utilize it for himself? Well, as Tyrion says, it is because those men have the power to command other men who also have swords. But whence came the swords? It's turtles all the way down. But maybe power is not an illusion. Maybe power is just in constant motion, constantly changing hands. It all depends on whose turn it is at any given moment. There is also something that Varys is not taking into account here. Perhaps certain kinds of power can be illusions. But in a world of magic, there are certainly some definite forms of power. Melisandre, for instance, has demonstrated the ability to conjure deadly shadows in the night. Renly and Sir Courtney Penrose may not have believed in her magic, but their belief, or lack thereof, seemed to have no effect. Her power was very real. And of course, dragons clearly have power whether or not you believe in them. Since I mentioned Melisandre, we might as well talk about her now. The Red Priestess utilizes several different kinds of illusions, both magical and non-magical. Through careful restraint and strong will, she makes it seem as though her magic is far easier to perform, and that her visions are far clearer than they actually appear to her in the flames. This itself creates the illusion that she possesses far more power than she actually does. And the more powerful Melisandre appears to men, the more they would fear her. Melisandre even uses several different powders that she would carry around in her pockets, which she could mix together using rare ingredients. They had varying effects like changing the color of fire or creating lust or fear, even powder that could kill a man instantly.
All of these would give the impression that Melisandre's sorcery was stronger than it truly was.
And like I said, Melisandre also uses magic to create illusions. In A Dance with Dragons, it is shown that Melisandre has the power to produce glamours using rubies.
Melisandre touched the ruby at her neck and spoke a word. The sound echoed queerly from the corners of the room and twisted like a worm inside their ears. The wildling heard one word, the crow another. Neither was the word that left her lips. The ruby on the wildling's wrist darkened, and the wisps of light and shadow around him writhed and faded. The bones remained, the rattling ribs, the claws and teeth along his arms and shoulders, the great yellowed collarbone across his shoulders. The broken giant skull remained a broken giant skull, yellowed and cracked, grinning its stained and savage grin. But the widow's peak dissolved. The brown mustache, the knobby chin, the sallow yellowed flesh, and small dark eyes, all melted. Gray fingers crept through long brown hair. Laugh lines appeared at the corners of his mouth. All at once he was bigger than before, broader in the chest and shoulders, long-legged and lean, his face clean-shaved and wind-burnt. Jon Snow's gray eyes grew wider. "Mance, Lord Snow." Mance Rayder did not smile. "She burned you." "She burned the Lord of Bones." Jon Snow turned to Melisandre. "What sorcery is this? Call it what you will. Glamour, seeming, illusion. R'hllor is the Lord of Light, Jon Snow, and it is given to his servants to weave with it as others weave with thread."
Here we see that using her magical skills, Melisandre can produce at least two kinds of illusions. It is mentioned in the passage that Melisandre speaks aloud one word, but neither Jon nor Mance hear the true word that she speaks. Melisandre is using her power to create an auditory illusion. It is also shown here that Melisandre can use her power to create glamours, illusions that can make someone appear to be someone else. Melisandre utilized her mastery of light and shadow to twist the perception. Now you might think that this power was in some way similar to what the Faceless Men do, but this seems not to be the case. Though Melisandre is using magic, what she is doing is still an illusion, though certain parts of a Faceless Man's skill set may involve creating illusions. According to the kindly man in A Dance with Dragons, Their true art is actually far more.
Mummers change their face with artifice, the kindly man was saying, and sorcerers use glamours, weaving light and shadow and desire to make illusions that trick the eye. These arts you shall learn, but what we do here goes deeper. Wise men can see through artifice, and glamours dissolve before sharp eyes. But the face you are about to don will be as true and solid as the face you were born with.
The kindly man insists that what they do is nothing like Melisandre's glamours. A wise man could potentially see through a glamour, but what they do is different. They truly become someone else for a time. This seems nonsensical. How can you be someone else when you still have your own thoughts and feelings? Yes, Arya becomes the ugly little girl, but she still knows that she is Arya. She may look like the ugly little girl and even act like her, but she is not her. Then again, this argument may be moot because you could say that Arya has yet to become no one. And also when considering that there is magic at work here. Perhaps it is possible in the A Song of Ice and Fire world to be two people at once. Or perhaps the Faceless Men merely have a sense of being another person when they don the face of the deceased. Maybe that is an illusion that even they cannot see past. I would actually compare Melisandre's use of illusions to a mysterious historical figure. In the book Fire and Blood, George R. R. Martin describes a great sorceress who took up residence at Harrenhal, Alice Rivers. Around the year 133 AC, she ruled over the people of the enormous Melted Castle. She was said to be a witch queen of fearsome power who had once made a man's head explode when he insulted her. Though some swore that she had done this using strange and powerful magic, others insisted that she had signaled to a crossbowman. I've already done an entire video on this character, which you can find linked in the description. But the point is, we never quite know how much of her magic was real and how much of it was simple illusion. An illusion occurs when one's perception of the truth has been warped. In A Song of Ice and Fire, we encounter many different illusions. Too many to cover in one video. Illusions permeate every aspect of their world, and some are almost impossible to see through. Perhaps by recognizing the illusions of the A Song of Ice and Fire world, we can learn to better see through illusions in our own world. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe for more Ideas of Ice and Fire. Also, Ideas of Ice and Fire now has a subreddit, link in the description. Also, shout out to my top patrons, Trini Girl, Frederick Nordlin, and Jennifer Woodson. I really couldn't do this without you guys, and all of you guys make all of this possible. Thank you so much. And as always, if you want to support this channel, click the Patreon link in the description.